And welcome to Netflix and Kill. Oh my god, Travis, I'm so excited.
Are you now?
Yep, we're talking Gotham again today.
Oh god.
And you know, when we talk Gotham, we always have to bring on one of my favorite guests. And that's our own Gotham neophyte, Justin Zarian.
You know, when I go onto a podcast, I have to be ready to talk about everything and anything possible. And then we'll have so much fun speaking about Gotham.
Man, I want to do a rhyming thing, but I didn't think far enough ahead to do the Jervis Tetch thing.
Let's not do that, actually.
I didn't think far enough ahead for my Joker impersonation, so that's all I got there.
Well, and who's telling him some lame rhyming scheme? Well, it's me, Nick the Merc with a mic, and of course, I mentioned before, my lovely co-host over here, Travis.
Hi.
And yeah, we are going to be talking Gotham Season 3.
You're a cop in everything but name.
Saving Gotham is not my job anymore.
I do this, there's no turning back.
No, there isn't.
GCPD is not Gotham. Gotham listens to me.
I want an army like me.
I don't think Gotham's running out of monsters anytime soon.
Oh my god.
I heard you watched 3 seasons of this show.
Oh man, we binged this bitch.
Yeah, and then there's a 4th season out right now, too.
There is indeed.
Woo.
And we're all caught up on that too, actually. So we're all caught up on Gotham.
Behind. I need to catch up on that, because I saw the most of the first episode and then part of the second episode already, but then it's like, just life again, too, just caught up to me, but I can't wait.
So yeah, man, these ones are always fun to talk about, but then again, I'm actually trepidatious because Gotham is hard to review at this point, because we've already done this twice with the past 2 seasons, so you kind of know that, like, I won't speak for all of us, but I love Gotham, and
I love it.
I feel like I'll always love Gotham, and it's hard to define why I like this thing when it's kind of like when someone comes up like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, that show is so over the top, the acting, the ridiculous plot twists, and I'm like,
Yes.
yep, that is all true, and I love this motherfucking show.
That's because
over the top is not inherently bad. Something can be over the top and still be fun or well done. It's just
I point you to the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like people always say, like, "Oh, the Fast and Furious movies are awesome." It's like, you mean with all the terrible actors and the terrible dialogue and the stupid plot? It's like, yeah, but it's fun.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, in Gotham, I don't think is that level of stupid in that same way. It's different. It's got some. It has certainly its own level of stupid in some ways, but I think it's on that same level of it's just fun to watch, just to sit through and just watch the insanity unfold.
well,
Yeah,
it's
instead
mostly
of having
that
car powers, some of the people on here have actual powers.
it's just mostly that it's a soap opera with a DC background.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
No,
Oh yeah.
it's the CW stuff, just with less of the goofy teenage stuff and a little bit more super murder and darkness.
Yeah, I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think when Gotham is at its worst is actually when it's trying to do some of its more serious CW like storylines, especially with actually let's just get into it. Our main character, Jim Gordon, who
Jim and what's her name?
Lee?
Miranda Baccarin's character, Lee. Can we just make Lee go away for a while?
Yeah, I think we need to. By the end of this season, I'm kind of like, we need to miss Lee a little bit before I'm ready to see her again. And
Or at least decide what to do with her.
so, I mean, and yeah, this story for this season 3, and of course it's hard for Gotham since it's two mid-season shows kind of broken up too, so the themes of the show are kind of mixed into 2. But the first part of the
Which I kind of like. I like that it is broken up into 2. Like it gives it a nice clean arc each half season, you know?
It doesn't like, even if you don't like a part of it, it's like, well, it's probably not going to keep going for the whole season, so at least there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the first part of this season is dealing with, it's dealing with a lot of stuff, but the most of it is dealing with the revealer from the last season, which was the Court of Owls. So there's that thing kind of going on in the background, although that doesn't really come into play into the forefront until the later half. But the first part of it is built up with some Alice and Jervis Tetch like blood making people go crazy sort of thing, their version of the Mad Hatter. And while this is a pretty interesting way to show that how people can get like superpowers or madness or whatever. There's already a way on this show for people to get superpowers,
Yeah.
so it was kind of weird at first. I was
We had to
like,
deal with
huh?
that all last season.
And so yeah, and of course we have Penguin running for mayor,
Because that's a great idea.
and he busts out Riddler in order to be one of his campaign managers. Or
Because that's a great idea.
that might be the stroke of brilliance Gotham season 3 has had.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the strongest thing they have ever done. Because those two together are
They're great.
They're
they're
really
just
good.
they're
so
they're
good.
fucking amazing. Like they are the best part of the show. When it cuts to Jim, I'm kind of like, no, more Penguin and Riddler. Like I want to.
You know, I mean, and Jim is not always bad. It's mostly bad whenever he has to deal with Lee because, you know, like we said, they just don't know what to do with Lee. All she does is complain and yell at Jim because you're so mean, and then I'm gonna marry Mario.
It was so weird
and-
because I actually really liked Lee in season 2. I thought
Yeah.
she was a pretty cool character.
Yeah, no, I really liked her a lot in the first 2 seasons. It's just they just had nothing to do for her with this season.
And it feels like they want to keep the actress around, and we don't really know what to do with the character.
yeah, it's
Just like
it's kind of
Barbara.
hard when you're dating the lead actor, you know.
Except Barbara, they just made fucking nuts, which is actually kind of cool. Like, it kind of
Okay,
worked
yeah,
for
Barbara,
her.
I don't know if I like Barbara or not because it's like, man, they just did everything possible to make her just a completely different character to the point it's kind of ludicrous that she somehow becomes like the queen bee of the show near the end. But it's
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that they throw everything at the wall when it comes to Barbara and just see what sticks, basically. And so, yeah, surprisingly, Jervis Tetch is actually our villain for quite a significant portion for the first part of Gotham. Normally, they usually, burn through some of their villains more frequently.
Right.
And the main antagonists are usually like the more mainstays, the Riddler, Penguin, and like, I mean, Theo Gallivant was kind of in the background as well for the second season, but he had like the Freaks and all these other guys kind of working for him. So I think what bothers me about this season is that Jervis is in a little too much of it.
I agree.
I didn't mind him too much at first, but after a while, I'm kind of like, they keep going back to this well, and he's not as compelling or charismatic of a villain as we've had before.
He's actually very similar to Theo Gallivant. Like, you're creating interesting things, but you yourself are not that interesting.
You know, I mean, he was interesting at first, but once they throw him in jail the first time, he kind of it's again that problem. They just didn't know what to do with him other than, well, we have this outstanding plot problem with the blood, which, I mean, I've never seen so much talk about blood since the last Star Trek movie. You know, it's just like,
Magic blood.
It's everything about the magic blood, but it's like, yeah, because at first I'm like, this guy's really, really good. Because the actor, I forget his name, but he's from Walking Dead. He's one of the minor characters on that one.
Oh, I remember him
And-
now. Yes.
Yeah, he was with the cannibal dudes, I think. But yeah, he's actually pretty compelling as the Tetch, who Mad Hatter's not a character I'm terribly in love with for a lot of it, but he's like, yeah, he's tense. It's a scary, creepy situation that he's supposedly raping his sister. That's at least implied, I think, at one point. And then once everything resolves with that, and they foil his master plan, it's kind of this weird thing. Like, well, we have to keep coming back to him for some reason in his weird paper hat that he made for himself in jail. It's just not the same.
And it's Benedict Samuel is the name of him.
Okay, and also the fact that his hypnotic power never came back into play after that point. It's like you think that he didn't. How did he forget that he had that superpower essentially to hypnotize people with his watch? You know?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like, wait, I thought you were like this big hypnotist guy. Like, yeah, but now I drug people, and then I use my sister's blood to make people nuts.
And his rhymes got worse over time. Where it's like, okay, it was kind of clever at first, and now he's just like, rhyming all the time, and then it's a rhyme, and
So yeah, it's
I got a dime.
the first part of the season is called Mad City, the first half of it, and then the later half is Heroes Rise. And yeah, so that was probably a weaker part of the season. For most of the time, when Gotham has like a storyline that doesn't seem to be working for them, they're quick to like, okay, we'll drop that, and then we'll
Get something new.
we'll do something different. Kind of like the Do you remember the gangsters they ran into that were actually working with the Court of Owls? Because Bruce is basically dealing with the Court of Owls this whole...
Oh, right, the Whisper Gang?
Yeah, the Whisper Gang. Remember how they were important for like an episode and
Nah.
then completely disappeared?
Barely.
Well, that's the funny thing where it's like, yeah, they built such a mythos with those crazy, like, the headgear they wear to keep quiet and all this stuff. They're like, oh yeah, we started off as this gang back in our old country. And then literally the next scene, the Court of Owls, Talon, their enforcer, comes in and just murders them all. It's just like, okay,
Yes, they weren't
that was
important.
surprising.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I was really interested when they first had that like Selena got in trouble stealing that no, it was Poison Ivy,
Yeah.
who is now because this opener actually opens with what's her name, Fish Mooney, trying to heal up her cadre of freaks and monsters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim is a vigilante, I guess, or bounty hunter.
Yeah, he's a bounty hunter trying to track down all the Indian Hill escapees.
Yeah, and he gets like bounties based off of that, and so that's I feel like Gotham is just like, and we have to start up with Jim not being a cop anymore, or being a beat cop, or not being where he was before, so that 2 or 3 episodes from now he can be back on the force, sort of
Right.
thing.
And then it can be attacked because the police station gets attacked every other episode.
Oh my god!
Seriously, how many times they had that police station be assaulted? Like people just easily walking through the doors, no problem with like
Put some bars on the
smoke
windows,
grenades.
guys. Do
Yeah,
something.
How are there any cops left after this season? So I just feel like they...
Oh, no. Hey, one thing that I was super happy about: they finally called in the military at the end of this season.
Right?
Like,
Like, it's interesting to see that the military actually exists. Like,
I was thinking that too. I'm like, there's some point like, how is the military not getting involved with this giant climactic battle at the end? And then sure enough, literally after I said that, there's a bunch of soldiers walking in. I'm like, oh, thank you.
so yeah, I do love that Fish Mooney has a bunch of crazy people on her side of the team now. They kidnap Hugo Strange.
Including Mr. Plot Convenience for Poison
Oh
Ivy.
yeah, they do. He's like, I can make people grow older, and he gets a grab on Poison. Like, I never seen a character created to further the plot of another character by aging them up.
Yes.
That is such a convoluted. Like, okay, well, whatever.
Sure, why not?
I mean, it was kind of fun watching him age up Miss Peabody into a mummy, essentially, which was super fun.
I was
But,
kind of
yeah,
sad
that
at that,
was-
though, because I liked her.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. They just, again, they had nothing left for her
No.
to do. So it's better to cut her off short than to go on too long.
Yeah, they barely had anything for Hugo Strange to do in this season. So
true.
Yeah, he's gone for like 18 episodes. He always shows up like the very beginning and the very end.
then then he's gone, and they don't explain like, hey, what had happened with Fish Mooney? Last time I saw you, Fish Mooney had you. Whatever.
Yeah, she'll come back. Whatever.
Don't worry about it, my friend. It will
worry.
be explained probably never, but
Unless we decide to bring her back.
I may not explain this, but I'll do it in perfect diction.
yeah. And, okay, I'll say what I have to say about Fish Mooney until the spoiler talk. So just I'll wait for that.
Still do love this version of Hugo Strange, though. He's always entertained to
Man, that
watch.
guy's great.
That dude's great. Yeah.
I really just like the way he talks.
Yes.
Like, it's just amusing.
Even sometimes people, it's weird when like they do like the gender and race swapping kind of stuff, but BD Wong is just so good playing this role. I don't care what race he is; he's just so good being Hugo Strange.
Well, he just looks. I mean, even if it's a race thing, I don't get what the complaint is. He looks exactly like the character from the comics. He looks
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
like him. Like it's
No, they did a great makeup job with him and the little chin beard.
yeah, and he is one of the actors. Is like, oh, I know what show I'm in. Like it's
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like, you can be overacty, just be a professional about it, like he maintains a consistent character in his crazy perfect diction delivery,
Yeah, and that's what I feel is what's frustrating about the Jim Valerie Vale, who's also in the season as another
I
love
completely
interest.
fucking forgot about Valerie Vale, to
Right?
be honest.
Remember her?
Right.
And Lee they're all in a very, I don't know, it feels like they're in a different town or something that doesn't have crazy shit going on in it, like that they have time to slow down and go like, well, I'm still dealing with this and I don't want to be around you, but I have to because I have to work with you. So yeah, Lee is back because Jim at the end of last season kind of let her go and like, oh well, I saw her be happy after she lost the baby,
Right.
and I felt like I was kind of not really good for her, so I thought she was happy and I let her go. Suddenly she comes back and is like, I don't want to work with Jim anymore, but Jim's not working at the department, so I guess I'll work there still.
And she moves back to Gotham because her fiance gets a really good job at the hospital. I'm like,
so, okay, yeah, I get that he's like, oh, well, he has a really good job at the hospital, and they wouldn't let him have such a high position anywhere else. And I'm like, yeah,
okay,
there's probably a reason.
I have two problems with that. One, fuck Gotham.
Yeah.
Like, don't move there. Two, once it's revealed who his father is, I'm like, no, you would use your power and connections to get a better fucking job. That's not in Gotham.
So, Mario's dad is Carmine Falcone.
Surprise!
Dun, dun, dun.
Lee, what the
What
fuck
the
is your
fuck?
problem? So,
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, Jim is too crazy. I'm gonna get married into a mob family. That seems a little bit more stable, right?
yeah, whenever she goes like, you're too dark, there's too much darkness around you, Jim, I'm kind of like, okay. Like, there's
That's the biggest problem with that whole story with Lee, Jim, and Valerie, which Valerie, she just comes in and out anyways, but it's all the same note. Like, throughout the entire season, there's just that one note about, I want to love you, but you're too dark for me. And it feels like it never fluctuates. There's never any other dynamic or any other, twist to the story. It's just the same exact thing. And even when that's resolved pretty concretely in the middle, it seems like, of the season, and then they just go, no, but you're still too dark for me, kind of thing. I'm just like, oh, God.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what you do with Lee. I mean, I don't want this to sound dismissive or whatever, but is there really a problem with her just being the girlfriend?
I mean, I liked her fine as that.
I mean, that's where I liked her the most, was when she was a sense of normalcy for Jim, and then it kind of gave you stakes of like, oh man, he has something to lose if he fucks up or, gives into his dark side or something.
And at the same time, she usually recognizes, like, yeah, he can be kind of a dick and kind of an asshole, but he tells me this stuff, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, the only time they actually got into a problem was like, did you kill Theo? And he lies about it. And it's like, okay, well, now I have an issue. What, with me killing people? No, you lied to me.
Yeah, and it's like...
Also, they kind of just forgot that he murdered an innocent dude in the beginning of the last season, too. I think that's just like, okay, we're just not going to worry about Ogden, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was innocent-ish. Like, they never want to make Jim do something so awful. And yeah, so, I mean, I get that her being just the girlfriend doesn't give her a lot to do, like, but the stuff they give her to do in here makes her just look inconsistent and like she's just...
It makes her a shrew. She's just so annoying every time she talks.
She doesn't seem very smart, is my problem.
No.
It's just that, like, no, I get that you don't want to be with Jim. Yeah, he is trouble. Like, being in a relationship with him is trouble. But if you're going to date a mob guy, I don't think you have the grounds to stand on and call Jim too dangerous to be around.
Right.
That's kind of... That doesn't make sense.
Well, and then what they do with her at the end when she makes that decision that just... It's just stupid. Like,
yeah.
I don't get the logic behind what she thought she was going to accomplish doing that.
I mean, she hasn't been exactly enjoyable the rest of the season, but that is when she takes the train to Crazy Town, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? What? No, Lee would not.
Figuratively and literally.
The Lee that I know, even the one that's in this season, would not fucking do that.
No.
That just seems ridiculous. But we'll save that
it's
for a
sad because-
spoiler section.
That's sad because that's the start of what is probably it's a really great finale otherwise for this season.
Dude, we'll talk about it, but man, this finale was fucking awesome.
It was pretty fun.
This is the best finale the whole show has had so far. It had great momentum. It had great stakes. It felt like there was urgency and immediacy in all of it. But yeah, we'll save that for the end. But that's the thing, is like, it's the sad part that we had the one really stupid decision to start a really great finale for the last three episodes.
And yeah, oh, excuse me. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of...
Sorry, you got something in your throat there,
Yeah.
Nick?
Ooh, hey, we want to talk about Jerome coming back for a
Let's
minute?
talk about Jerome.
Oh, that was so good.
That was great. Like, so, if you've ever read any Batman comic, they basically squished together like 3, maybe even 4 Joker stories into like one to bring Jerome back. Cause he gets like his face chopped off when the resurrection stuff doesn't work. And of course he was one of those other people that, Hugo Strange just froze, in their bodies or whatever to resurrect them later.
Because why
Yeah,
not?
but it wasn't Strange resurrecting him this time. It was some crazy fanboy played by that dude from Dark Knight.
Yes. It was the exact same guy, one of Joker's crew from Dark Knight, remember?
Okay, you're right, it
Yeah,
is.
it's the guy that Harvey Dent...
who threatens.
Yep.
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
totally right now that I think about it. Holy crap.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Like,
I didn't even
I always know
realize
who he
that.
is because he has those crazy eyes. That's always how I can recognize
he's very
him.
distinctive looking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really fun the way he did the way they had him do that. And then so when Jerome like wakes back up, he has a great like conversation with Lee of just like, oh man, that Dick Gallivant killed me. All right, well I'm gonna go after him. I was like, he's already dead. Wait, who killed him? Which time? And I just want Jerome to go fucking Gotham.
I love that Gotham's pretty much given up trying to explain that stuff. Like, I think even at one point, Harvey, he's just like, we got dead people walking around the street. I know that's not pretty uncommon for Gotham, but come on, people.
Yeah. I mean, it does get to the point where sometimes they do seem weirded out by stuff that I'm like,
why?
No, you guys, like, have
used
seen
to
a lot
this.
weirder shit.
Yeah. But man, Jerome just kicked butt this season. Like, he's only in, 3 episodes? One of which he's just a dead body on a table.
Yeah.
You know? But he's so, I don't know what it is. This actor's just so charismatic playing this guy. Like, he really, like, for everyone else who's acting like at 11, he really nails what makes the Joker that 11 but works so well. And it just, I won't forget that image of him stapling his face back on, which is just so visceral and gross. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and it leads to this great madness of a city where he basically like, hey, whatever you want to do, do it. He gives it like the Bane treatment from Dark Knight Rises or something of just like, everyone go fucking nuts. And
How many times did this city go on the brink of destruction in this season? Like 3, 4 times?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then like they have a whole sequence with him at a fucking carnival that's pretty awesome with a fish tank filled with piranha.
Yep, because where they get piranha, I don't know.
And the piranha don't have Joker smiles on them yet, but I feel like we are on our way, guys.
Could be.
No, remember you have to hold them upside down, then they have smiles.
Oh, yes, I forgot. And when you have to explain the joke, it's not funny anymore. But and then of course Jim and him have a pretty good pun intended face off, if you will. But before that, I liked Bruce's face off with him.
No, that was pretty good.
You know what? I have to say this. Bruce's storyline in this whole season is probably one of my favorite things about this season. Which, I mean, I always liked the actor playing Bruce, and I thought that he's been getting better every season. But they really found a lot for him to do. Just a lot of stuff for character growth. And yeah, his fight with Joker in that mirror room was really great. All the stuff they did in the second half of the season with him getting abducted and Five, the clone, taking over his place was really good.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Bruce Doppelganger
Yeah, because
anymore.
that is a thing.
Like, that's the funny thing with talking about this season. So much stuff happens.
We're not going to be able to talk about all of it, honestly.
No, there's no way. Because if you tell us, like, if you look at the season where it starts and where it ends, so much stuff goes on. It's just, it's maddening.
Like, I almost think that
know?
maybe, like, if we keep doing this, we should split this up into half seasons.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that if we catch up now, we might be able to do them as they air into half seasons, because that might be a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
I really enjoy Bruce and Alfred's relationship. It really, you know, I mean, I think Bruce or Alfred has one of my favorite quotes this season too, where he finally figures out that Bruce is the doppelganger, and they have to figure out like where he's at with when Selina he knocks both Selina and Alfred out. He's like, well, where do pain-resistant clones of multi-billionaire teenagers normally go? And I'm just like, what a great line that he had to read. Like, that actor had to read that line and not snicker one time. That's great.
Probably took a
And
few
that's why
takes.
he's a pro.
That's why you're a
that's
pro,
why he's
my friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so there are other freaks come back too. We have Firefly and Freeze come back.
Yep. Kind of side
Which
roles.
they're pretty much just, yeah, they're just pretty much living weapons right
Yeah.
now. They have no character anymore.
There's one thing that's disappointing is that Mr. Freeze doesn't really have anything to do anymore because they've eliminated his sympathetic backstory.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So
No, that's what I complained about last season. We're just like, yeah, they literally resolved everything possible with Freeze, so there's no drama. There's no inherent conflict with
so
him
now he's
anymore.
just a gun for hire, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, because, I mean, we already have Zaz for that, because Zaz is still
Oh
awesome.
my god, Zaz, you know, he gets even better in season 4. But the few times he shows up here are just like, okay, this is great.
I love you. Love Zaz.
I know. I miss him whenever he's gone because he was only in like 2 episodes this season.
Yeah,
if that.
he was very limitedly used this season because I think did he get shot in the beginning part or something? Or
No, because it was the whole thing where they put out a hit on him on Gordon because Mario got killed.
That's right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
spoilers, but then it just kind of it's that point where he almost, and then it's like, nope, sorry, hits off. Okay, bye. He just leaves and never comes back.
Yeah. And then of course Riddler and Penguin probably have the most compelling story arc this season, just because the mayor story arc is great. Like, there's actually a touching relationship between Riddler and Penguin at first, where he's just like, Riddler wants to prove to Penguin that people can actually love him, and that it's more important than, like, fear or whatever. And he's like, hey, you can win this whole mayoral race without actually cheating. Penguin wants to take over as mayor, and at first you think, like,
dumb.
Or first you think the Dark Reign storyline from Marvel Comics. Remember when like Norman Osborn became director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I go, okay, we have to. Everyone has to have willing amnesia that he just was a convicted murderer.
Yeah,
like that's that's
a
crazy.
thing we have to do.
But then with with Gotham, it's like, yeah, he's murdered people, but the other mayor is so goddamn ineffective and corrupt, and everyone seems to know it. That
I mean, it's freaking the guy who voiced the elephant thing in Inside Out. So it's like, yeah, of course he's ineffective.
Yeah, and then of course, what is it? Penguin's campaign slogan is "Make Gotham safe again." Which,
gee, I wonder what they're talking about.
well, like so many other things in Gotham, it's a little less than subtle.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would ever accuse Gotham of being subtle.
No, and I felt that to be a little weak in the sense that, they're trying to aim for commentary, but it really added nothing to the storyline. It was just there just because it's topical to make references to that.
Yeah, but it didn't really take anything out of it either. It's not like it stopped the show to do it.
Well, I think they thought I
appreciate that.
We have a criminal running for mayor, and it's like, well, we might as well wink and nod at it.
Yeah,
but
you might as well go for it.
But the core of the story is the relationship between Penguin and Riddler, and they don't want anything to take away from that, because I think the show realizes that it has gold there.
Like, those actors, both of them are so good. Like, not just together too, but separately, once they do diverge their plot lines. Like, they both have such range to cover with the storylines here,
Yeah, because they, at some point in the series, they have a little bit of falling out, and...
murder.
Conveniently murdering the new girlfriend who looks exactly like the old girlfriend.
Okay, so let's talk about that girl for just a minute. So Isabella is her name, and she looks exactly like the girl that Riddler murdered in the first season, I believe, right? Or is it the second?
No, second
season.
Second
season. Yeah. And so there was during that whole plot line, there was a subplot line with Jim hunting down a surgeon that could make anyone look like anybody else. Like, do you remember that, Justin?
Yeah, which that just disappeared after a point.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be more relevant.
Well, especially when we have someone that looks like exactly like a previous character, and
with no explanation.
And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, because at first I thought, like, maybe they resurrected her via strange powers. Maybe she's a new superhero. Yeah. Oh, maybe then I'm like, oh, maybe she's a Court of Owls that's been agent that's been that's infiltrating Penguin's menagerie there, and he's or she's been doctored up by that same surgeon, and that'll be the reveal later.
Which would make total sense.
Nope. Just a chick that looks like her. For whatever reason. Not an evil twin, or anything that's... I don't think I've ever seen that just not explained.
Yeah, it's there.
I mean, that's been a thing in other shows or other movies, but it is just so, so we're just not going to discuss it at all. Nope. Just coincidentally, she happens to be down to the exact, face structure and everything. I guess I just really like working with that actress. I don't know what it is, but...
They do like to bring people back, it seems like.
Yeah, but they usually just literally bring them back.
Yeah. I mean...
Well, they can't bring back that previous character because she's pretty well dead and chopped up, to be fair.
Penguin... Like, at first, of course, the romantic angle between Penguin and Riddler, at first you think, okay, there's so much subtext here, it might as well be text, but the show will never, ever address it
because we're on
directly. Because we're on Fox, We're on Fox Network. They'll never make a main character like Penguin that's established in the comics as being a gay character. And then that next episode, he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to tell Riddler, I'm going to tell Ed that I love him. And I'm like, whoa, what?
Excuse me?
Holy shit!
They've had gay stuff that's been discussed in Fox TV shows, but I mean, because it's not all a conservative channel, you know.
Yeah.
Fox News and Fox Channel are not the
Right.
same.
No, they've had gay characters, but they've mainly been relegated to side characters.
And plus, even ignored that it's Fox, it's still a network channel.
yeah,
Like,
and
Well, I mean, even Buffy was on that show, and they had prominent gay characters in the plot.
yeah,
so.
but also a sub character. Like Penguin is a main character of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big established main character. Like he's almost
he has his own story arcs every season.
He's as much, if not sometimes more of the main character that we follow than Jim Gordon.
Sometimes, yeah.
So it feels like a big deal that they just like, nope. So
Well, then, how often do you see it where there's so much of that subtext that actually ends up paying off? Like, usually it's just a cock tease.
So yeah, that was very surprising. And
Oh, sorry, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was WB. My bad.
Yeah. Yes.
oh, that's right. No, it was it was before it was UPN.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So many changes.
I mean, so there's just
Sorry. Didn't
there's a lot to that was really cool. I just thought like, man, that's really fun. It makes me really want them to get together, even though that there's been murders and stuff now. Of just like, I really like that these two bad guys have found each other.
Right? They
sort
just
of thing.
found love.
But then the problem is, it's like, oh, by the way, I don't think Riddler is gay.
They
They
don't really
never
say
really
it
mention
one
it
way or the other.
specifically. They do mention
Well, I mean-
that he's not into Penguin, but they give other reasons. I mean,
Well, I mean, he's very clearly attracted to ladies based on how he is with Miss Kringle and the not Miss Kringle.
Oh, sure.
you know, so.
Yeah, but that
I mean
doesn't-
that doesn't make him specifically straight either. And the
No, but it makes it clear that he really does not love Penguin that
oh,
way.
they make
and that's
they
the
make
inherent conflict there.
they make that abundantly clear is that
Mm-hmm.
he is not affectionate for Penguin after a certain point. So
Like, even before the big thing happens.
yeah, and I really like the fact that Riddler comes into his own as the Riddler in this season.
Mm-hmm.
He gets his
That was great. Like, he had the most complete arc, I think, this season of any character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it actually makes him. Like, he's now actually the Riddler.
yeah, and he gets he really becomes like top dog for a while, and then until later you realize that he's just his hubris, man. It gets him in the ass every time.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of weirdly incompetent in this way. Like, he's super smart, except for the parts when he totally messes up, you know?
He's the smartest dumb person I've ever met. Like I just
Yeah,
think,
exactly.
like I just like that's the I know we've said that before, but that's always will be his descriptor.
That's the Riddler.
I mean, I like so that's really the main part. That's what I really liked most about this season. I'm trying to think of like if I liked this season. Like, I don't think I liked it as much as season 2.
No, I think season 2 is still stronger.
You know, I think there's some things I liked better than season 2, but then it had more notable flaws that I didn't care for. So it's a weird balancing act. It's like, okay, when I think of the highlights, I think, the stuff with Joker, the stuff with Riddler and Penguin, the stuff with, the finale, such a great ending. But then I think of the things I don't like that pretty much lasted the entire season with Jim and Lee.
Yeah,
That does take it down a notch.
it does permeate so much of Jim's storyline, and I feel like it really drags down and makes some of the episodes a little more of a slog to get through.
Well, it's also because it feels like we've already talked about this. Like, we spent 2 seasons already dealing with Jim's dark side.
Yeah.
So it's like, is there anything left to say other than that?
Yeah, they really keep going back to that well of who are you really, Jim Gordon? What is the
You're a killer.
is there a monster behind the man? Can you keep him reined in, sort of thing?
I mean, that's a pretty strong theme to the whole Jervis Touch storyline to begin with. Because we haven't even talked about, the Barnes whole fiasco.
Oh yeah,
Barnes.
Captain Barnes comes back as a main character. He's the captain, and him and Jim kind of have an antagonistic relationship from the previous season because he's like, I know that something weird happened with you and Gallivant, but I can't really prove it. So, and yeah, he gets a little bit of the blood into his system.
Which I think is actually one of the best things they did with the Jervis Tetch thing, because it was starting to get really stale with just Tetch himself. So they're like, oh, they're going to make Barnes evil? Yeah, I can dig this.
Yeah, and I don't know I like that Barnes had a little bit something to do. I feel like they probably shouldn't have gone back and got him at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason they did that was to give him that crazy costume, which is like, I mean, that seems wildly impractical to give him the costume like that, but...
I mean, even for Gotham, it felt like this costume seems a little silly.
Well, Well, I mean, why an axe? Why does he need an axe for a hand? That just makes no sense.
Well, he
whatsoever.
says I'm the judge, jury, and the executioner, and that's his name,
So
is the
why not a
executioner.
gun?
And I'm like,
Why not a gun?
yeah, but then he
or a
goes up
hammer?
and he's like, he's puts on a, like, he's pretending that he is a judge, you know, in his Law and Order
Right.
shtick. And I'm like, well, why doesn't he have a gavel? Is it because Butch already
that
has a
makes
big
sense.
gavel?
Could be.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
big hammer?
Yeah, but Butch has the ability to change his stuff around.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like,
Speaking of, I really like Butch in this season too, and Butch and even Tabitha. I thought she really did a lot better as a character this season.
Yeah, they kind of messed around with her a bit.
yeah, they get a chance to kind of like put their relationship to the test when Riddler catches up with them.
Oh man.
So that was neat. Barbara's still kicking around being crazy.
Yeah, she actually starts the Sirens Club.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. That's a neat little nod. I mean, I'm very excited to see Barbara at any point because I'm always wondering. I'm always wondering, like, what are they going to do with you this scene, or like, just it feels like anything could happen.
I'm especially curious what they're going to do with her after this season. I mean, again, you guys probably know because I haven't caught up on season 4 at all. But wow.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's weird.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even for Gotham
I would
standards.
expect no less for this show.
I really did appreciate that. Of course, we haven't really talked much about the Court of Owls storyline.
It's because, honestly, until their finale, they're not that interesting.
Well, they're the secret cabal, and they give Bruce a lot to do in the beginning half. But then Jim doesn't really get into it until he finds his uncle later, who he finds is a member of the Court of Owls, and that
Which apparently his uncle is Dexter's dad.
he's Dexter's dad, and he was him and his dad were trying to get into the Court of Owls, and it's like this legacy investigation sort of thing. And I'm kind of like, this feels a little forced conflicts to make it a little more personal for Jim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not
Though, I mean, I did like the way that resolved with that uncle character because I thought that was a fun little spin on the thing. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree where it's like it was only there to give him motivation. To be fair,
And to get him into the Court of Owls, essentially.
yeah,
and
which that lasts of all of like one episode. I think.
Yeah.
it's probably because Jim's not a very good undercover agent.
Jim is the best worst detective ever.
So yeah, I do like that they have some of the what do they call them, Talons that show up that are like the hitmen. They take care of our Whisper Gang almost immediately.
Yeah. Like, hope we don't like those guys, because they're dead.
Oh, and then they screw over Barbara's gang at least at one point.
Well, Riddler and Penguin both try and figure out who the Court of Owls are.
Yes.
And it feels like that story doesn't really go a lot of places either. Because the Court of Owls keep Penguin and Riddler both around because they think, well, they might be useful later.
Well,
But
Penguin tries to prove that he'll be useful, or Riddler actually try to prove that he's going to be useful.
but they never seem to do anything with them. And
No.
then it's like, well, let's just escape that.
Fuck that. Let's get out of here.
So yeah, the Court of Owls later just starts to make moves that I'm like, wait, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, are you sure there's not an easier way to do this? Like,
It's unfortunately the problem that they set him up for the big twist at the end, which kind of undermines the Court of Owls as characters really badly.
yeah, they really undercut them in service to another villain that shows up at the very end.
But at the same time, like, considering how bored I was of the Court of Owls, I'm like, when that happens, I'm like, no, this is fine. I can dig this.
Yeah, well, their main leader, Catherine, is the one that gets the most screen time. But I'm still like, I have no idea what Catherine's motivations are or what she's trying to accomplish at all.
And now we'll never know because they finished that part off pretty definitively too, out of nowhere.
Yep. That did feel like Gotham, though. Like, this storyline's not really working. Murder everybody.
Kill him off.
I just imagine Barnes is just like boring.
Well, geez, you'd almost think that was a police station or something.
Well, what the fuck? Like, if you are if you're supposed to be this great secret organization that's running all of Gotham, and your best idea to kill a guy is to release a dude that's maddened with the fucking Tetch virus and put a guillotine on his hand,
Maybe that's
What?
a good idea.
how are you? No,
I feel like
that's
you just
not.
sent out a hit at that point, but
I mean, you do realize
Yeah.
Zaz is for hire, right?
yeah, Zaz will do it.
I mean, Zaz has already assaulted the police station a couple times, so he knows his way around there.
Yeah, he'll do
He's
it.
a regular customer. He'll like, hey Pam, hey Zaz.
Yeah, he just goes to the secretary. Like, I man, that would be funny. Like,
Well, geez, if you were the secretary, you'd be like, no, just walk in. They're in a meeting. They'll be out in 15 minutes.
Yeah, Selena and Bruce have an awkward relationship for this season too. Where
Okay, yeah, that also is another thing that just went in circles because I'm like,
Yeah.
look, these kids, well, I mean, they're older now, but like they actually do have some genuine chemistry as actors with each other. But we've pretty much done the same plot line the first 2 seasons, and now they're just going
Circling.
Like, pretty much this plot ends the same exact way the last season's plot did. You know?
it goes in the circle of like Bruce, like, well, I think you care for me, and Selena's like, no, I don't. I don't care about anybody, about myself. And Bruce is like, I think you're better than that. Well, I'll prove you wrong and do something really shitty.
And then her mom shows up.
And Bruce will go like, oh, you, I can't believe you would do that to me. You are selfish. Until one of them does something later to like forgive the other, and around we go. And I realize that is sort of the relationship between Catwoman and Batman.
I guess.
Is
yes.
that like, well, one of you is kind of a hardened, a hardened kind of criminal, and the other one is also damaged, but it goes to a level it won't go to a level that you will. So there's always a conflict there. But it does feel like we're doing the same thing over. Like I do forget, like, why is Selena mad at Bruce this time again?
Because reasons.
Is it?
No, because the way that they resolved it at the end, I mean, because originally it was the whole thing where he lies about her mom, like the weird connection there, and the fact that clearly for the people who are aware, like, there's a point where Selena's mom shows up randomly into the story, and it's revealed, it's like, oh, well, just like all other bad parents, she's there to extort money out of them because she realizes she has a billionaire best friend.
Right.
And then that gets resolved, kind of, at one point. And then Bruce is just mad at her irrationally at the very end. I mean, obviously he went through a lot this season, but it felt totally out of nowhere for the way that he pushed her away at the very last bit. Where just like, oh, you don't like me, go away! And
Well,
like,
I feel like what he's trying to say there is, because he's also been, he's been kidnapped by, like, he hasn't seen her in a while. She's been dealing with the doppelganger for a while. So last time he's seen Selena has been like her kind of just doing the whole like, I'm gonna be away for a while, don't follow me sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Bruce is just kind of sick of, like, I'm sick of you just like only being around when you feel like it, and instead of, well, like I need you around at certain points, but I get that you're a cat and you only will allow people to pet you when you allow it or whatever. But fuck, like, I'm kind of sick of this one-sided relationship that we have.
Sure.
And
I mean, from what I know about this next season, that's also kind of resolved pretty quickly, from what I understand. But
kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
It's also one of those other things that is kind of like, whoa, that went in a, like, you think it's going in one direction, but then another crazy thing happens to Bruce to where he kind of has to forget about it for a little bit. So yeah. See, what else did we pretty much covered everything that I don't want to do in a spoiler section. Is there anything else real quick?
I think that's most of it, really. I mean, we talk about well, it's slightly spoilerish, but they hint at it a little bit earlier with Bruce's crazy drug trips that he does with the the Justified dad.
Yes,
as the sensei.
A lot of dads in this
that
episode.
was-
Dexter's dad, Raylan's dad, like.
Yeah, lots of famous TV dads. But that was kind of cool. Like, it was another helpful thing to develop Bruce's character, because they're very clearly setting him up to become Batman in this season.
Yes.
Like, especially some stuff that happens near the end. They really set him along the path. But that was a cool way to do that stuff that we always say, like, yeah, they skip over this because it's boring, quote, quote, in the comics. But it's like, no, this is the steps that we need to see of how does he process that grief to become the vigilante that we know him as.
Yeah, and I really do like the work that they're putting in to make, like, Bruce's motivations and mindset kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I do kind of like the Riddler's whole plot in this one, where he starts actually being the Riddler, because he's like, once again, he gets stuck on, like, oh no, Jim Gordon's the smartest one around. I've got to trick him because he knows shit. And he gets distracted for a little bit because, like, wait, no, it's actually Lucius Fox who's the smartest one. Ha ha!
That's one thing with Jim. It's like, you have worked with Jim before. You do remember what kind of detective he is. You think he's a smart adversary?
Yeah, Jim is not super as great a detective as much as he knows how to go find somebody else and then beat that information out of them.
Yep.
He's kind of Hopper from Stranger Things. Like, he doesn't really think through a plan. He kind of just goes out and uses his fists to solve a problem.
Yeah. And yeah, so overall, I think I don't know how to rate Gotham. It's so weird.
I will say one more thing. I do have one other big complaint for the season. We alluded a little bit to Poison Ivy. The fact that they had to arbitrarily age her because of the thing like, well, we can't really have Poison Ivy doing sexy things if she's an underage girl. Which doesn't exactly resolve that because you still got the brain of a young girl.
It comes off as an interesting idea, but also, again, it's super weird now that everyone's super into her. Like, oh my god, what a hot chick. And I'm like, since she's still like 14, this feels like
like mentally she's still the same age. So.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what I'm not sure if the show wants me to feel like this is weird. What is the show trying to say to me right now?
Because it's weird.
It's a problem that they didn't think through the Poison Ivy bit. And from what I hear too, that they do something with season 4 to address that a little. But I had the problem that I didn't think that actress was a good actress playing her. Like, I get she's trying to act like a child in that sense of, someone's, like, she was trying to do like a Tom Hanks in Big kind of thing, where it's like, oh, she's a young person's mind in an adult body. But she came across as a bad actor.
Well,
and I think that's why they're getting rid of her this next season.
If you're going to use a plot device to create, to age Ivy up, but you're not going to have her act any different. Like, you're still stuck with an annoying character that makes a lot of dumb mistakes and is not really like fun to hang around with. Like, you haven't fixed the problem; you've just made the problem prettier. Like, that's
yeah.
It's a weird thing that they did. Like, oh, you didn't really fix this at all. It's whether it just tried to polish a turd sort of thing. Like, that didn't work very well for you.
No, not so much.
Well, and apparently they've introduced yet another way to magically heal people with her too, because what they do with Selena, where at one point I thought they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to do Halle Berry's Catwoman with her. But yeah, then they just like, no, don't worry, we're not going to do that stupid stuff. We're going to do another stupid thing with Ivy, who has the magical plants that can do anything, apparently.
She has a plant for every goddamn thing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but we'll just go into ratings then. I think for me this season, I'm not sure if it's hard to judge because going into any season of Gotham and trying to figure out why it doesn't work more than other seasons, it's kind of like trying to figure out a method to the overall madness, which you can find. It's not like it's not there, but overall, it's basically how much fun the show is to watch. Like, that is really how it boils down in the essence to. And this one I don't feel was as fun as season 2, just because, man, they really run that Jim like monster, like darker side of himself story into the ground, and we ran out of interesting stuff to do with that story about a half a season ago. So yeah. It's just and then they take one of my favorite, like, I really liked Lee before, actually. I thought, like, she was like, man, she's played by a great actress. She's a very supporting character. It's actually important to have someone that feels kind of real so that, like, Jim has something not crazy to go home to. And they really just make her, like, not only like everybody else, but they make her kind of, like, worse than everybody else because there's not really a reason for her to be so inconsistent. As to what her motivations are and like why she intermittently hates and loves Jim. That and the thing she does at the end is basically, we'll get into the spoiler section, but like, man, she does something that I'm like, come on, that's so fucking dumb. Yeah, and the Court of Owls weren't as important as I first thought it were, but they did make use of some other storylines that were pretty effective. Jervis wasn't exactly the villain that I would have probably used if I was going to try and make a half season of Gotham fit around one specific Batman villain. But Jerome coming back was a great shot in the arm for that midpoint, kind of like when we're waiting for other stuff to happen. And the Penguin and Riddler stuff is worth the price of admission alone at my point. You gotta, man, that might be one of the greatest conflicted relationships I've seen on TV. It's just great. It's good stuff to watch. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Man, it's still super fun to watch. I think I'm into Gotham until the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd have to be boring for me to not watch it, and I don't think this show will ever. It's many things, but it's rarely ever super boring.
That's funny. Like, oh, go ahead.
Even if it's boring for a little bit, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, we'll kill that off. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, it does feel like anything could go at any minute.
Yeah, no, it's just the problem though. Like you're saying, like to the end, and I know there's been a lot of debate about how long Gotham could sustain itself, especially after the Fox deal with Disney, because obviously Disney paid out a lot of money to them, sure, but But that's the thing, is like Gotham's always been declining in ratings, and it's at its series low right now with season 4.
Bummer.
But it has a huge fan base, and it's not always people watching live. That's the big thing. Like, it gets a lot of DVR numbers, it gets a lot of Netflix numbers, and it's one of the things that no one's ever sure if it's going to be renewed or not for another season. It's just like, well, on the one hand, there's lots of reasons to cancel it, but on the other hand, there's a lot of reasons not to cancel it. So
It's not one of those shows that, like Game of Thrones or something, where people go to watch it live, like they scramble to watch it live. But I think it's one of those shows that's kind of hard to turn off once you turn it on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get kind of into this zen mode of like, yeah, I'm kind of into this.
And also, while its ratings are low, they're not low for Fox, because Fox's shows don't really perform very well, except for anything with, what's her name, Shonda Rhimes' name on it. Because, Empire still does good numbers, but it's probably going to get canceled pretty soon. Well, actually, no, I think it's probably going to get renewed. But, all the other shows, it's like, yeah, Exorcist is on its ways out. And really, what else is there on Fox that people are watching consistently?
My initial thought is that if it's lasted this long, I think Fox will give it one more shot, and then if its numbers still decline after that, we might see the end of it. But I think it will get a season 5.
And you know what? If it has one last season to kind of like make a de facto ending kind of thing, just like, yeah, like, this show could go on forever with its crazy gonzo stories, but if we at least get some form of like resolution with this, I would be okay with that, actually.
If we finally get to see the last episode is where Bruce gets to don the cowl as Batman or something, that might be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Have a whole thing come full circle.
I mean, he'll be the youngest Batman ever at, like, what, 18?
Well,
by the time that point happens?
I mean, if it's going to be the end of the show, I would assume just, like, 10 years later or something, and then we see Batman sort of thing. Like,
oh, my favorite thing when they put aging makeup on actors. Ugh.
I mean, for that, I would just get another actor and put him in the bat suit. But
oh, not for him. I'm thinking Jim Gordon with like a fake mustache.
They have to do that.
Now I want it. Now I want Jim Gordon with that fucking stupid mustache on his face and aged up. Yeah, like that is great.
Batman showing up. You probably shave that off, right?
No, fuck it. You know what? He should run into the mutant that ages people up. Let's do it now.
Yeah,
let's do it right now. Let's make it. Let's make him Old Man Gordon right now.
Still same actor, just had to have aging makeup every time.
Yes, I'm into it.
Speaking of old man, they pretty much don't know what to do with Donald Logue anymore in this show.
No.
I mean, he's still fun to watch and he's entertaining and a good sidekick, but he has no plot. There's no character development for him anymore.
He's there to be sassy. And he does get a point near the end where when Barnes gets to be ousted, that he's kind of the de facto leader for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did you think? The guy who started off as the worst cop in the world suddenly is becoming the acting captain of the police force.
Well, to be fair, that's also a process of elimination, literally.
Oh yeah, no, they killed off all the superiors, so.
Yeah, and I think Jim isn't even back in being on the force at that point. Otherwise, I think he would have been the de facto leader.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically at the very end, kind of. So, yeah, I guess it's... Well, okay, that's something we'll discuss in the spoiler section, because the ending is a little sloppy in that part of how they resolve that storyline.
Look, the fucking Gotham police force are very finicky bitches when it comes to Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
It seems like one episode they're totally with him, and then the next episode they're willing to throw him to the wolves if it suits their purposes. Not a lot of loyalty among that group.
No.
And yet somehow people keep signing up for the Gotham Police Force despite how often they get murdered systematically,
What are the benefits to being a cop in Gotham? The life insurance must be fucking amazing.
Well, it is Gotham. I mean...
come on. I don't... Yes, my father, my brother, and my second cousin all got killed on the Gotham Police Force, but luckily we took out the supervillain insurance plan, and man, we're set for life.
Now we can afford to move out of Gotham.
Yeah, we can. That's the goal. Is I would assume to move out of Gotham.
It's too much work. I'll just go to the police force.
Yep. So yeah, Justin, what'd you think of this season overall, as it stands with the previous seasons?
I mean, I'm an apologist for Gotham, and I made that very clear to
we're all unapologists, Justin. Unapologists. You don't be sorry at all.
I know. And that's the thing is, I would consider Gotham my guilty pleasure show, but I really have no guilt watching it. I think it's a really great show. It's just a great show that's also a giant soap opera. It's like how people like watching wrestling, Just, it's soapy, it's goofy, it's over the top, but unlike wrestling, it's actually well produced and well written in some cases.
Oh, also, can we mention the production value of just how good the show looks at certain points?
Yeah,
it really looks really good.
this is an Emmy-winning season now. It won for its special effect work, which the effects were pretty good this season.
No, for a TV show, a genre TV show, like when I look at it, like, man, this thing has a really cool sense of style. I really like all the environments that it looks like. It's like this mix between Gotham, like 50s sort of like Tim Burton-y.
We still don't know what time it is.
I feel like I've given up the ghost on that. It's in an alternate universe where technology has been mix-mashed.
Somehow computers don't have internet, but we have cell phones.
Right, but Gotham's it is still consistent.
Yeah, for Gotham, that's where its consistency comes from.
Yeah, no, it's still, it's got all the great qualities that I've said in previous recordings, so I'd be just repeating myself for a lot of it. I think they really found a good way to play out their arcs, not only just with the half-season arcs, but even mini arcs. Like, the Joker's only in like 3 episodes this season, but those 3 episodes were awesome, and then like the stuff with Riddler becoming Riddler, that doesn't really happen until the second half of the season, but that's a great mini arc within the overall grand scheme of things. They really found a good way to, instead of doing villain of the week stories, to have little consolidated arcs within the giant story, and it's just really fun to watch. It does have a few weak points, Jim and Lee, I just the way the season ends for Lee, are just like, good, just put her away for a while. Just don't let her come back for a bit. Make us miss her.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, and then, there's other stuff, and I mean, I will say this too. If a season can have a stronger finish than a stronger start, that really gets at some points for me. And this season had a fantastic finale. Just the last 3 or 4 episodes really ratchet up the tension and are really, really solid. So I felt like I've been giving the same rating most of all. So I'm probably going to give it a 8.5 out of 10, kind of 4.25 kind of thing, 8.5 out of 10, muscly faces that got peeled off, because when they show what what Jerome looks like without his face, you're just like, ah.
Think of the children. Travis, what did you think of this season?
I also thought it was just so much fun. The biggest downfall is some of the characters kind of get a boring arc. Like I said, I wasn't that big a fan of Jervis Tetch to begin with, but when the stuff it pays off with, like Barnes is pretty entertaining up until they did bring him back at the very end as the villain. But we have Jim Gordon, who's kind of he's kind of treading water on what they want to do with his character. Lee is just totally fucked up. There's just a Mitch here where like some of the characters like I really like what they do, and then some of them are just like you don't know what to do with them clearly. And that's the biggest problem I have with this season. I'm really hoping that this season has just was kind of a rough ride for some of these, and they kind of decided for what they want to do for the next season. But we'll kind of have to see. Overall, still such a fun ride. So much crazy shit happened that we can't even fit it all in this review. It'd be impossible.
No, we're already running like an hour, and we haven't even hit the spoiler section
yet. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, I think.
All right. Well, with that, thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to check out some of our back catalog on iTunes, you're more than welcome to than welcome to do that. It's got some previous Gotham reviews on there. We also have other great Netflix movies and craziness on there as well,
and some terrible ones too,
and some good ones, some terrible ones. It's all we equal opportunity up here at Netflix and Kill. We are going to go into a spoiler section for Gotham, but if you don't want to stick around, you want to keep, catch up on Gotham yourself before you listen to that, totally get it. You don't want to have that crazy shit spoiled for you. You don't want to know that Penguin's Rosebud is actually his sled or whatnot, or whatever crazy other spoilers we might talk about. But yeah, if you want to check out some of our other, contents, you can always find that at unapologeticgeekout.com with our regular episodes of the UGO podcast, as well as our convention episodes and all our other great content. Check out our YouTube stuff for where I'm pretty sure we've had like reaction videos and trailers and stuff. I think we might actually start doing reactions for Gotham specifically.
Yeah.
Well, Gotham seems like a fun one to I can't believe they just did that.
I can.
But
at some point you're just like, I'm not surprised anymore.
I don't know if I'll never not be shocked. I'll just be numb to everything.
But we could talk disaster artist another.
But with that, we're going to take a small musical break, and we'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the spoiler section for Gotham Season 3. I don't even know where to start. Okay, one thing... Let's start off with the thing that happens first, though, is that Penguin did get the upper hand on... Riddler got the upper hand on Penguin, and shot his ass in the mid-season finale, I think, right?
Yeah, so, because that was the thing where he finds out eventually that, oh, Butch didn't kill the not Miss Kringle, Penguin did. And, yeah, that leads to him trying to plot out the exact right way to do it, because Riddler just can't do anything simple.
No.
You know, he can't just shoot him or stab him. It's like, no, I need to bring you out to the pier, make a big speech, and then shoot you in the stomach, hoping that it probably killed you.
Yep.
Well, he fell off the dock. When has someone falling into a known area ever not worked for... Oh, wait a minute.
I think Penguin might have some sort of special heal ability with water. Like, I don't know.
Well, no, because... To be fair, it was another one of Ivy's just, hey, this plant magically heals people from mortal wounds.
It's odd how often they don't use Lazarus Pits on this show.
Right?
Like...
Until they do.
And then... So, yeah, I like that. That's where Riddler gets his transformation there. And then there's a big conflict between Riddler and then Penguin later when Penguin comes back. And then Barbara and Tabitha and Butch get in on that as well. Try to play like on the either side there.
It does feel like this is a very small world, because everyone seems to conveniently bump into each other or work with each other for anything in this situation.
Well, we did mention that last season where Selina feels like she could run into anybody on any alleyway at any point.
Yes.
Like,
which, to be fair, they did less of that with her this season, which I was kind of glad. But although, again, this is the subtitle of the show is "I need you to do me a favor," because every other episode it feels like, if you do me this favor, I'll do you this favor. Okay, if you do me this favor, I'll do you this favor. It's just every other episode.
Yeah, so I do like the final conflict with the Penguin and Riddler, where Penguin kind of like gets one over on Riddler at the end, and it's just a great way of just like, nah, I'm gonna totally fuck you up and make you think that you've got me again. And it's like, wait, how did you know I was gonna take you to the pier? Ed, come on, buddy.
And you kind of forget that Penguin is actually rather clever.
No, he's not he might not be as intellectually as smart as Riddler, but he knows people. He knows what they'll do, and
yeah, he's more street savvy,
Yeah, and I do love the look on his face after the gun clicks, and he's like, "Oh well, too bad, Ed."
Try again next time.
Well, and that's the funny thing is that's one twist I actually didn't see coming. Surprisingly, where I'm just like, oh. Cool.
Well, that's because he acts it so well of like, no, this was my turn to win, when Riddler gets the gun on him. And then later you realize like, yeah, I totally left that, Bobby. But you thought that was there on accident? Come on, Ed.
Although it was really funny too, where he's like, so how'd you know that Barbara and Butch would get there? I didn't. Aren't I lucky?
I didn't. That was totally random.
I love how he says that too, because like, yeah, that was just awesome.
Yeah, this whole plan, I made it up in like the 5 minutes after I knocked your ass out.
And now we got a Riddler sickle, so.
Yeah, and then, he gets frozen up, which is, it's pretty fun. Although I feel like the show has forgotten that Freeze is supposed to not have the freezing people and then they can supposed to come out of it.
Yeah, whatever.
No, he can do that. They established that in the last season, that they can survive being frozen.
He said that they could because of his wife, but then his wife switches the canisters at the end, right?
Right.
And
well, no, because then what's his name? The other guy at the prison, at the jail, where he got frozen and unfrozen, he lived. So some people can survive being unfrozen.
Oh, I thought it was based off the formula he was using.
I thought so too.
No, I think what they were doing with her was something else to help cure her disease.
No, it was...
They found out that it worked, and then she sabotaged it by switching out the canister.
No, it wasn't to cure her disease. It was so that she could be unfrozen later after he cures the disease. The thing was just a stall. But
they didn't get rid of the old one. I think they kept the other one. She just used the bad one that didn't work, I thought.
Either way, it seems weird to me that Freeze would be willingly use the one that makes it so where people can survive.
Well, what bothered me more is like, so did Penguin forget that he's still technically mayor? Like he can use his mayoral powers to get some assistance and backup for him?
Well, I think like he was still going underground because he was worried about because his boys betrayed him at the very end of that one too. So he didn't have the
right.
he didn't have the
What's his
muscle to
name?
back him up.
Yeah, true.
So I think, and then at that point, I'm not sure if they assigned a deputy mayor or a backup or.
Well, no, because then what's his name? The Aubrey James came back as the acting mayor.
To be fair, I'm not sure how that works if your mayor comes back from the fucking dead.
Yeah, whatever.
Like I don't know exactly like how that works, but
It's Gotham. They're aware just how insane things go on in this show, so they're just like, whatever. New mayor, old mayor, same mayor. It's mayor.
so yeah, that was a really cool resolution to this season's back and forth with Riddler and Penguin, but also leaving it open for them to have further adventures later. After when Riddler eventually gets iced or melted out, or or maybe Penguin will have his heart thawed as well. Be like, no, I forgive you, Ed.
But I do like that the Penguin just like, you've taught me the important lesson to never let love blind me again. Just it's so menacing, but it's really cool. Although I will say too, come on, one ice pun. If you want Mr. Freeze to do something else, give him an Arnold Schwarzenegger pun. If anything, that would give him some personality this season.
Yeah, he's kind of just a icicle.
Yeah, and they never really pay off on the army of freaks more than Firefly or Freeze. We never just see any of the other army of freaks that Penguin was.
Yeah, it's less an army and more like a troop, just a small squad.
And yeah, I really like that. Let's see what else. The final finale between Gordon, because Lee is trying to figure out what exactly her problem is this whole season, and I thought kind of liked where that was going. Like she's doing some soul searching. Is like, do I hate Jim or do I hate myself or what's going on here? And then she visits Tetch, and Tetch goes like, no, your boyfriend. Like, why is my boyfriend dead? Like, your boyfriend isn't dead because of Jim. He's dead because of you, because you loved him. And I'm like, no, he's dead because of you, because you infected him. You did it. Yep. It's your fault.
Kind of your fault.
Like, I mean, I get that, like, if I wasn't there and everything. Yeah, but you're really abdicating responsibility from the crazy person that infected him in the first place. And Jim kills her fiance. That was infected by the Tetch virus. Mm-hmm. So that has Falcone kind of mad at him, too. Lee is super mad at him. And I did like that they did come to him of like, hey, did you have to kill him? You could have just shot him in the shoulder or something else. It's like,
yeah. And
I'm like, well, I mean, I guess, but he was in a tight situation. The woman he loved was in immediate danger. Mm-hmm. He made a decision in the heat of the moment. Did his dislike for Mario affect that immediate decision?
Probably.
Maybe. Jim is not a perfect human, guys. Like, maybe in the heat of the moment, he did let his emotions get to him, but he did act in a protective manner for it. Like, so I don't know, like, how clean, like, that is. But Leah eventually ends up blaming herself for it and infecting herself with the Tetch virus.
Because that makes sense.
What?
Yeah.
No. Why, though? That makes so little sense.
Being a suicide would make more sense.
Like, yeah, I mean, I get that you want to be poetic about your self-justice or whatever, but that's such a dumb fucking thing to do. So she becomes evil. She basically becomes Barbara again.
Yeah, they make the same character twice.
Yeah,
no, seriously.
And I feel like the show is like, Gotham, we already have a Barbara. I'm not sure what you're doing here. I do love the fact that when a character turns evil, they dress sluttier. That is an interesting visual cue of like the more cleavage you see on a character, the more evil they are.
Yeah.
Though that's a little awkward when you start seeing that with Selena, who's very, she's just barely 18, and they're giving her the giant cleavage at the end of her arc too. You're just like, I
think that they're modeling her after because she's being with she's starting to get a mentorship from Tabitha. Mm-hmm. So she's starting to dress like Tabitha too and use the same weapons as Tabitha. And Tabitha...
And that's a classic Catwoman outfit too thing that she usually has giant cleavage as well.
And Tabitha has that same thing going on where every once in a while the actress for Tabitha I'll just in the middle of the scene I'll go, just, whoa, like she'll be wearing some sort of
I mean, they look nice, to be fair.
No, I mean, but like, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, she's a very attractive actress for sure, but then sometimes they'll put her in this leather outfit that is just like, oh god damn, like it's hard to not notice it in the scene. It's like visually distracting on how much you know, cleavage and stuff. Like, I mean, at one point I'm like, man, that looks uncomfortable with how tight that must be. It.
Oh yeah, and then even Marina Baccarin, I think her last scene with Jim, where you know she just leans over and she's got the giant, massive rack, where you're just like, oh my gosh, wow,
Hello.
Yep, and
hello boys.
So her whole thing is she's going to infect Jim with the virus as well, or force him to inject himself to save himself from a coffin. Which is a pretty good way to end that episode too, because he's like, no, I must save the city. And then he infects himself, and I'm like, yes, Jim is now like
evil Jim Gordon.
I want Jim to bust out of the coffin and go, now I am God, and start to wreak vengeance upon all others. But it's again another story of him restraining the monster in himself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it, I wanted to see kind of evil Jim. I thought that might have been a fun story to do.
I mean, I guess their idea is that he's too good, that he can't fully succumb to his evil, but even then, yeah, it's like, again, we've seen that story done so many times this show. Mm-hmm.
Monica Baccarin, give her credit, she does have fun playing the villain there.
Yeah.
I think she's like, something different for my character to do, other than just bitch.
Yeah, it was more lively a performance at the very end, but it was still just stupid the way it got there.
Yeah. And then so we have the Court of Owls' main goal to destroy Gotham is to unleash the Tetch virus onto Gotham.
Because that seems to be the plan of everybody, just to unleash a giant bomb, a giant virus, a giant whatever, you know?
I mean, there's got to be a cleaner way to do that, right?
I don't really know what their goal was, to be honest. Like, we want to clean up the streets of Gotham by killing all of Gotham? What?
Well, it turns out that they were only in service to another villain later, because it turns out that Raylan's dad's character, the monk that Bruce has been hanging with, is the leader of the Court of Owls, and he wants to destroy...
Kind of?
But he also wants to destroy the Court of Owls because he feels that they've gotten too arrogant from killing the Wayne family.
And
apparently it's
Bruce to do it?
So I'm like, okay, I think I follow, but then near the end there, they murder all those guys. Mm-hmm. And I do love the fact when he goes up, like, you have become too arrogant, and here's this kid that has wanted to see you destroyed. And none of the guys get the idea of, like, there's a bunch of guys behind me with a bunch of blades. They all seem to be very shocked. Like, they're very slow on the uptake of just, like, really? You aren't figuring out what's happening? You don't get the distinct feeling that something's wrong here?
I mean, the Talons have served them for so long, so I guess they're just assuming, just like, well, the Talons just look emotionless and blank anyways. Yeah. But, yeah, that was... rather sudden, just like, oh, by the way, we're just going to eliminate this thing as a whole story arc.
Well, they did kind of prove that. They did that thing where it's like, oh yeah, the Talons literally do anything we tell them to.
Yeah. But who...
I will say, though, too, I didn't mention in the earlier part, I was a little underwhelmed that the Talons costume was just a black suit and a face mask, because, you know, in the comics, Talons get this elaborate, like, owl costume thing going on, and here they're just like, that's too expensive. Let's just make him look like Kato from
Green Hornet. Yeah, I was just about to say that. They basically look like Kato took a trip over from the Green Hornet.
Well, and even one guy, there was an Asian dude. It's like, oh my gosh, that's just Kato.
Yeah,
it's just.
I'm not sure if a giant owl costume like they had in the comics would have worked, but it would have been a little more visually distinctive than like.
I mean, it's Gotham.
Yeah.
But then they have like Barnes has that giant super suit with like leather and functional parts and everything. So
and he kills Catherine because oh my god, it was almost like unleashing a unstable madman for your hitman assassin was a bad idea.
Nah.
Well, and they do that thing that I'm starting to get a little tired of, where it's like, well, if you're a main character, he'll just push you around, but if you're an expendable character, you're dead immediately.
I mean, come on, like I have this giant fucking guillotine on my hand. But I'm going to punch you with my other hand for little to no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freaking Alfred. It's like, it seems like Alfred can take down anybody, you know, just in any occasion just because he's got plot armor.
It's in those it's those scenes where you feel the main character armor for some of these characters a little too acutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then it was really funny just the way it's like, Catherine's like, blah, 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 Court of Owls, that stuff, and you just see Bart just like, boring. He just chops her head off right there.
I did like Alfred interrogating Tetch to get to Bruce though too. Like I liked
him interrogating Catherine too when he stabs her in the hand.
That was awesome. It was just like
that was awesome.
Hey, my fucking surrogate son is missing, and you're gonna give me information. I'm not gonna give you. Oh my god! How about now, bitch? And then even Donald Logue's like, "Whoa, dude! Whoa!
Like, too far! And I'm the corrupt cop in the room.
God damn, man! Ease it back." It does prove to me how much he cares about Bruce, though, in a very little amount of time of just like how the lengths he's willing to go to get Bruce back. And yeah, so we find out later that all the Court of Owls stuff was in service to Ra's al Ghul, or
Dun, dun,
Raz al
dun.
Ghul, or Ra's al
They
Ghul.
all pronounce it differently.
How in the fuck?
Well, so-
How in the fuck are there 3 pronunciations on the same show?
Well, no. The only time they ever said it was when he introduced himself, and he did clearly say Ra's.
Oh, I'm
so-
sorry. You're right. We're complaining about stuff in season 4.
Oh, we are. You're
Sorry.
right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're right.
We're jumping ahead.
Sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
You guys haven't gotten to it yet, but yeah, they cannot decide on how to pronounce Ra's al Ghul's name in season 4.
Apparently, the writers and directors don't communicate with each other then, because yeah, it's like, okay, so Alexander Siddig can clearly pronounce Ra's normally because that's the character's name.
Yes.
But then everyone else is like Raz and Roz and
Well, it's not even like I don't even care about the pronunciation. I'm just like, well,
Consistency, people.
pick one and fucking stick to it. Like, it's weird how all of them pronounce it different.
yeah, which I mean, it seems like you would get that because they've made such a big deal in recent years. Go like, no, it's not freaking Raz like in Batman Begins. It's Ra's. It's a foreign name.
I'm not sure why they changed it up for Batman Begins either. In every other continuity, it's been Ra's.
Yeah, I think that was still that point when we were still trying to take comic books seriously. So everyone's just like, whatever. It's spelled Raz. I'm going to call him Raz.
Is Raz more serious sounding than Ra's?
I don't know.
I mean, they both are
It's
kind of
easier to-
ridiculous names.
It's easier to pronounce. I think that's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a cool reveal when it's like, oh, dude, that guy from Game of Thrones and Star Trek playing Ra's. And he looks the part. Like, he looks menacing.
He might be
in
the
that
best
role.
Ra's al Ghul live action I have seen so far. Like,
Yeah.
he encapsulates the part. He actually looks Middle Eastern, or like,
Yeah, he's way better than the dude from Arrow. So.
oh god, that guy sucked so hard. But we are talking about season 3 of Arrow.
No.
Yeah, so no, but it is the reveal too that it's the League of Shadows, or so are they officially the League of Shadows or League of Assassins in this?
I think they're League of Assassins in this universe, but they switch it up so
Okay.
often.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like,
Yes,
I'm pretty sure it's
Assassins.
Assassins.
Assassins is too dark if you know for other shows, but
Yeah, and it turns out that he's been grooming Bruce to take over for him. And classic storyline usually comes in later in the Batman mythos of him like, aha, I found the detective, the man that could, take my place, one worthy sort of thing. Or if you're Arrow, some dude that just survives your sword to your chest for whatever reason. Man, we're back on Arrow again.
Stop it.
But yeah, so Bruce in his, weird fucking still kind of mind controlled state stabs Alfred through the chest, and ends up having to heal him through the Lazarus pit, which apparently doesn't make you crazy.
At least not yet.
At least not yet.
well, the only time that makes people crazy is when they're actually dead. At least establish the continuity with why Red Hood's the way he is.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, if you're just going in there to heal wounds or de-age, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
No. Oh, also if you use it too much, it kind of starts to affect you. Yeah, that's why Ra's doesn't want to use it super much. He's like, I might be immortal, but my time as a coherent bad guy are kind of near an end, and I need a replacement.
Okay.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty good, cool reveal. I'm not
I
gonna
like
lie.
that.
And plus,
Yeah.
we got to see a League of Assassins fight Mr. Freeze, Firefly, and Fish Mooney. That was pretty cool, and leads to my favorite kill of this season. Freeze freezes a ninja midair, Mortal Kombat style, and then he busts all apart when he lands. That's awesome.
Oh, that was great. No, although it does make the League of Assassins look kind of weak if Jim Gordon can beat them so easily.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he was also enhanced with the super drug.
He's got the super drug on him. I'll let that one slide. I'm not sure how his sword skills are outmatching them.
Yeah, no. Somehow he can just become a master swordsman with the Church Tech virus, just because
But he's got the touch virus. I'll let that one slide. Donald Logue fist fighting one of them is like, how are you not immediately murdered?
Yeah.
I know, right? Again, plot armor. But that did also lead to, unintentionally, one of my favorite moments when he just is killing all the ninjas, and then he turns around and stabs Fish Mooney. Like, oh, thank you, yes.
Which is like, I think she's going to be back on the next season too, and I'm like, how many
No.
times is this chick going to come back to life?
No, they made it clear that she's not coming back in season 4.
Oh, she's actually done?
Oh, is she done?
Yeah, no, they made an announcement earlier, like, yeah, we're probably not going to bring her back. And I think, didn't she say when she's dying, she's like, don't bring me back, kind of thing? Or,
I think she might have, but that never means anything.
No.
yeah, well, I mean, I just wanted to be done. I know,
What an out of nowhere end to that character. Interesting.
yeah, well, I mean, it was an out of nowhere return to the character for both times she showed up in this season. It's like,
Yep.
oh gosh, I thought we were done with her. But, and I know you guys maybe liked her a little bit more than I did, but I'm just like,
thought she was entertaining.
okay, just,
Well, I'm
Yeah,
now
right.
of the opinion from this season. I'm like, look, if you're not going to use her, then don't use her.
Right.
Like if
Yeah.
as much as I may like her from the first season, like I'm not too keen on her just coming back for an episode and then like forgetting about her and her army of villains or whatever. Whenever the plot, like they never even explain what she did with Hugo Strange at all. Like she was off to get
A cure
cures
for-
for all of the monster or all the freaks, and it's like we don't even see any of those freaks again. And like, so I'm just
Yeah, and-
confused.
And then, like, the thing, like, somehow she just forgives Penguin for murdering her just because. And then also the whole thing where the only reason that part in the greenhouse resolved itself is just because, oh, by the way, Fish Mooney shows up out of nowhere and saves the Penguin. Just, again, because.
And never puts
kind
him
of thing.
under her control, really.
I think they established that she doesn't use it anymore because it's killing her.
Right.
But, yeah, that was unclear. It's like, so, yeah, she just forgot she has that power or something.
Yeah, I don't know the whole deal was that was, but I did like the whole town being nuts. It feels like kind of Arkham City at some point where it's just another conflict of like, okay, we all gotta be careful when we're traversing the city because we could run into crazy people at any point.
I think my favorite bit was the grandma at the bank.
Yes.
We're just like, my life savings, give me life savings.
Well, even in the police station, they start to get attacked from the inside again when one of them starts to go nuts. And I'm like, God damn it.
Again, just the police station needs to invest in giant doors and super locks, or maybe like a turret that they can put inside, like just in case, I don't know. Just
Maybe one or
every
two metal
season.
detectors if they exist in this universe.
Yeah, anything.
Like I don't know what exactly is going on here. Yeah,
Well,
Barnes
Bruce
gets
needs
his
to invest in some locks on the windows too. At the mansion.
Barnes gets his guillotine hand shot off. That's pretty neat.
Yes.
That was pretty awesome.
And yeah, let's see. Everybody else kind of has a pretty under like.
Butch dies.
Yeah.
That was
Yes,
surprising.
and they reveal his name.
Oh my god! So at the end, I flipped out, and Travis had no idea what I was talking
Yeah, I was like,
about.
Nick, you're gonna have to explain this one to me.
Because at the end here, they shoot Butch right directly in the face, and I was like, "Damn!"
Very clearly dead. Very dead.
Yeah, and I was like, "Fuck, okay." Like, and yeah, Barbara just lays her out. Tabitha and Barbara do not see eye to eye on that.
Yeah.
And Tabitha electrocutes the shit out of Barbara, to the point where it's like, "Yeah, you're pretty dead."
Yep.
I mean, her eyeballs are smoking.
Yeah,
That looks pretty dead to me.
At the point when you start to smell human meat sizzling, I'm like, "Yeah, you probably ain't coming back."
Well, also, that was kind of funny where Barbara gets one last long lesbian kiss with Tabitha too. I'm just like, okay.
Well, we have to every once in a while we have to remind people that those two are also an item.
Yes.
And that Butch and Tabitha are like they have this weird three-way thing going on. Because Tabitha
They're very polyamorous in a weird way.
and Butch are very well established, but Barbara and Tabitha seem to forget every once in a while that they're also an item, sort of.
Well, because they hinted at it in season 2, but they never followed through with it. It was just kind of hinted at throughout it. And then it's like, we need to have at least one overt mention of that somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think also Tabitha is supposed to be the inspiration for Catwoman, and Catwoman is now canonically bisexual. So I think that has something to
Is
do
she?
with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, you didn't hear that? Yeah, she is actually they went back and made her canonically like she had a girlfriend at one point and now had a current girlfriend. Although now she's actually marrying Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because why not? Well, also, I think that's because there's like there's stuff like in what was it, the Year One comic and the Dark Knight Returns, or the Dark Knight Rises, where there's that weird girl that just randomly hanging out with Catwoman. So I think they kind of implied just like no, they were kind of maybe lovers, sort of. kind of thing.
Yeah, it's been in the subtext of the comic a lot. Like they've only now expressly stated it.
Okay.
The the ending with Jim and Lee, where they meet up near the train to just leave Gotham, and Jim's gonna do it because he's finally given into his dark impulses, I guess. And Donald Logue gives him the cure with his badge, and it's like, oh, that's a great visual metaphor right there. I like that. I liked that a lot, actually.
It was a poignant end to a stupid plot line,
Right.
but at least, it worked.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's actually a really nice way to end it up with, Donald Logue bringing him back from the edge. Like, you're a good cop. You're a better cop than I'll ever be. You gotta come back from it, buddy. And yeah, and then I did like Jim sticking Lee at the very end there, and of course Lee at the end there is like, gives him the letters like, I have to leave this place. I have to go. And
it's like, yes, you should do that.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't understand why you didn't do this, like, I don't know, 20 episodes ago? Like, back in episode 2 or something? Like, but hopefully we'll see what happens with her in season 4, where they're going to try and do some different stuff with her. We'll see how that shakes out.
So we did mention the name of Butch also, because
I got sidetracked by this type of thing. Like,
no, which is fine, but they reveal at the very end, they're like, oh yeah, Butch Gilzine, that's a pretty interesting name. Oh, that's odd. His birth certificate says dun, dun, dun,
Cyrus Gold. So for some of you non-comic fans, that probably means nothing to you.
That'd be me.
But as soon as I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Solomon motherfucking Grundy.
For Monday.
Now, okay, there's one thing that does confuse me, though, is that they introduced Butch's brother at some point, right, in this story? Because that one gangster that Selena and Bruce beat up to get money from him early on?
Huh.
Don't remember that.
You remember that? Like, or his last name's Gilzine, too, so it's like, which is Gilzine a fake name they both use? Or
maybe. To be honest, I do not remember that.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, no, it was very early on when Bruce is learning how to fight crime with Selena. They're like, oh yeah, I want to say it was either his brother or his cousin. He runs this other thing, and they have to rob him to be able to learn how to become fighters. I mean, that might have been last season too, but yeah, there was something where they establish a family. So it's like, so is Gilzine a fake name they both use because they're mobsters?
Maybe Cyrus Gold got adopted by that gangster, and he just adopted their name.
Maybe, yeah. It was a little confusing.
I mean,
like, okay,
let's be honest. They did not know Butch was going to be Solomon Grundy by the time that this season even started. Probably
it was just a random
did
thing.
They?
No, they didn't. Like, there's not a lot of mystery there. Of like, it does feel at the very end like. And we want to do something different with this character, so suddenly he's Solomon Grundy, which, all right, fine.
I'll take it.
And from what I hear in this next season, they very definitively make that clear too. That he becomes Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, no spoilers for season 4, but that is a great storyline that I actually kind of really like.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, and it's like, yes, Gotham's nuts enough to do Solomon Grundy, do swamp zombies, love it. So yeah, let's see, anything else that they were setting up?
So yeah, I think also, I mean, unless there's any other things, there's the big one, the final shot of the season.
Yeah, the final thing I think I was also very excited with that is that there's a woman and a man being mugged at the very end there. And they get saved by a man in a ski mask, or a very short man, or probably an adolescent boy, obviously. And he climbs up onto the top of the building, takes the ski mask off, and good lord, it's Bruce, and it's in the back, and it's in the background, and I'm like, come on, Lightning, crack in the background. You want to be like the fucking animated opening of the Lightning in the background. Just do it. Do it. I fucking dare you.
And it does. Nick was so happy.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. I gotta lie. I got a big kick out of that.
And, honestly, the Alfred stuff, like, with Bruce and Alfred and stuff, that got way more emotional and way more involving than I ever would have expected. Because, I mean, they always had a loving relationship, but they pulled out, like, some of the big heartstring moments with them that really, really worked.
I'm with you to the end, Master B. Oh.
even the point when he stabs him, and that's the only way he can break his conditioning is when he, just like, oh shoot, I might have killed my only last family member. It was involving.
Bruce
really
Bruce
good.
is very protective of Alfred, and because he's the only thing that he has left. And he's now invested in the city because his parents, like, that was what they were trying to do too, was to do what was best for the city. So that's what that's what his mythos is too, is that I want to make sure that my parents' death has meaning. So that's why the city of Gotham has so much meaning to it, and its welfare has meaning to me. We should mention him getting a little more familiar with the villains in this season was really fun. Later, like he has a couple scenes with Penguin even this season, doesn't he?
Wait, Bruce did?
Or is that next season?
That was the season.
He has
No, I think that's next season. I don't remember him talking to Penguin this season.
well, this season he definitely has the connection with Jerome that he hooks up with.
Well, yeah, because they established that last season,
Right.
that Jerome, the last thing that he remembers before dying is trying to kill Bruce. So that's the only thing that motivates
Let's
him.
do that again.
Yeah, and he's run into Riddler before in the previous season of the Court of Owls storyline. So I do like that Bruce is slowly kind of meeting his future enemies.
Yes.
So that's pretty neat. I will actually, I'm kind of into this show that if it works its way up eventually where he is Batman, I mean, the show would have to run kind of long for that actor specifically to be a believable Batman. But I'm kind of into it. I would like to actually see how far they could go with that.
I dig it.
Well, because, I mean, like, when they do Batman, like, whenever they do, like, year one stuff, like, how old would you say he is in those usual continuities?
Oh, the year one stuff? You see, I always picture Batman as kind of an older dude when he's actually doing his stuff. I picture his 20s is where he goes off and trains.
With, like, usually with the Ra's al Ghul storyline, right?
Yeah, or what, that was
The
what
start of
Batman
it.
Begins was.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, so that's where I picture him training, and I don't picture him starting, like, doing the year one stuff until he's about 30. But they could age that down to, like, 25, and I could still kind of buy it.
Better
Maybe,
than an
'cause
Iron
the
Fist.
actor is sick. The actor's only, like, barely 17. Like, he's super young, so it's like, yeah, teenage vigilante. I mean, unless he's Robin, it's a little, it's a bit of a stretch.
We can
right
just,
now.
I mean, my suggestion was to be eventually just do a time skip in one of these seasons.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm not sure. It does seem like they're willing to just let a bunch of time go, even in between seasons too, where they're like, yeah, and Gordon was in prison for how long or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I would be very interested in seeing that what their version of Batman even would be. I really like the
The whole mythos are setting up.
so I'm interested in how that translates into their version of Batman, which I assume would have to be pretty different than any other version of Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though I do know people don't like his mask in the new season.
It's not great. Like it's it makes him look kind of like, man, did you go to the Daredevil season 1 costumer where the mask makes his face look a little too fat?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to address that very quickly in the next half of the season.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to make it look like the cowl but without ears.
Right.
And it's kind of like,
We're not quite to the bat motif yet.
But yeah, until we get back together for season 4, I think this pretty much covers it. Unless anyone else wanted to do any last minute spoiler stuff.
We didn't really discuss
think
the
we
clone, I
covered
guess.
everything.
Oh,
Right, 5.
yeah. Did he die or whatever?
No, he just so he escaped because that was a little weird that they, again, like Gotham does, they just dropped that because there's the point when he kidnaps Bruce, and that's when Bruce gets sent to the Sensei, and he's trying to infiltrate his way with Alfred and Selina. He actually develops feelings for Selina because just apparently that's just the thing. If you're Bruce or even tangentially related to Bruce, Selina's just so important. In your life.
Yes.
And then he pushes Selina out of a window.
Right.
Because she threatens to expose him as a fake and part of the Court of Owls, which that was weird when that happened. I'm like, oh, well, dang, they pretty much just killed off Selina.
Don't worry, she had her Batman Returns cats show up. I mean, if they can
so that was
save
weird.
if they can save Michelle Pfeiffer and Halle Berry, I'm sure they can save this chick too.
I know, I just kept thinking the Honest Trailers things, like, until she's French kissed by a cat and turns into Catwoman, kind of thing. And I'm just like, okay, well, at least they didn't do that, but the convenient, Ivy has this magic plant that they use to revive her, wasn't much better in comparison.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not super crazy about. I'm glad they didn't go with the supernatural cat excuse, because I mean, I like Batman Returns enough as it is too, but like that, I don't like that they introduced like Catwoman as a supernatural villain that is resurrected by cats, and I'm like, she can just be a burglar, guys.
Right.
Like, there's not a whole, like, not every Gotham villain has to be resurrected by some evil spell or have radioactive swamp water injected into them or whatever weird version of, like, that gives them powers.
Well, because you think about it, like, half the villains now in Gotham have been dead and resurrected, at least by the point in season 4. Because, Butch, Jerome, well, I mean, I guess now they've gotten rid of freaking Fish. So, yeah, there's a good number of them who are just like, yeah, they've seen if there's anything on the other side or not, unless they don't remember being dead either. But it's like, yeah, I think we can just put a cap on that. And I think Gotham, again, they're aware. It's like, look, we know we kind of broke the show for a bit with introducing resurrection as a thing. So we're just going to stop doing that for a little bit.
Might be for the best.
And now we'll just introduce Lazarus Pits in the next season. No! Damn it.
Yeah, the moment they decided to cap that, they're like, oh, by the way, we also have this other thing that can heal people.
I mean, at least the Lazarus Pits are an established resurrection thing, like from the regular continuity. But
I like that the Lazarus Pit looks like mucus. Like, it's just this big giant pile of green goo in a pit, in a little, like, pit thing. It's just...
Well, speaking of, my throat's pretty much dead right about now from waxing on about Gotham, so I'm going to have to go soak my my Nekano Lazarus Pit a little bit.
You have to clear your throat like Jerome does, just like, kind of thing.
What, being dead gives you a serious case of dry mouth. I totally get that.
Well, because I think also he technically got stabbed in the throat. So what I'm assuming is that it was the thing like in Sin City with Benicio del Toro, where anytime he's moving his neck a certain way, he starts to do kind of a voice like this.
Oh, so that's what that was. I just thought he was like, yeah. I thought being resurrected immediately healed you of everything, kind of like it did with the some of the other patients. But
well, technically he got resurrected through like cheap means in comparison. So I guess it doesn't work equally as the other.
Oh, he did get resurrected street style with the street technique, so maybe it's not quite as effective.
And I do love the fact that, like, just one last thing, when freaking what's his name, the Joker fanboy, he cuts off his face to try and make like, no, we're all Jerome. I am now Jerome because I cut off his face and put it on my face, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Jerome resurrects, gets his face back, and then ties up the dude just like, oh, by the way, I'm going to kill you, so no hard feelings.
No, I didn't take I don't take it personally, buddy. And then he ties him to the chair like, oh yeah, I totally took it personally, though. Just fuck you. You don't steal somebody's face. That's rude.
How dare you?
I did like that his posse were like, we're all Jerome. And then even some people in the posse were like, that's lame.
Uncover this. Boo.
Boo. Or OG Jerome for life.
Reboots.
But yes, until we resurrect next time.
Last Jeromes.
Yeah, until we resurrect next time through whatever means are available at the time, we are going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you so much, Justin, for talking some Gotham with us.
This was fun. Anytime.
Oh, always a pleasure. Well, hopefully we'll reconnect for Season 4. I'm looking forward to many great things. I'll work on my Solomon Grundy impression. But with that, we're on a positive geek out, and we're out.